Well, I think AI is a revolution, technology revolution, and this is true for telecom operators as well. This is true for many industries. And of course, we've been working on AI for quite some time already, like most large companies. But now with the acceleration of models, we see multimodal models with voice combined with video, with pictures, etc. The question for us is really what's going to be the impact of AI on our networks? And it's still early because AI adoption is still very limited. We are focusing a lot on the training of models in huge data centers. But the question for us is what's going to be, for us, the best network for AI? And that's why we have research teams working on it. And it's early, but that's now that we need to design that.
When we think about some of the early applications of AI so far, particularly with generative AI, a lot of it is focused on enterprise and the consumer, these chatbots, and it's still very much cloud-based. We're accessing this also via 4G, 5G networks, but there's also talk about this going on the edge, on device as well. So as an operator of these networks, 4G, 5G networks, are you expecting such a big boost to traffic? And then how do you then use that technology like AI to optimize traffic?
Well, I think our job, our mission as an operator is to, of course, optimize the traffic for the usage. And we've been doing that for the past 10 years. If you think about our networks, 20 years ago, we built our networks for the internet. No, 30 years ago, we built our networks for voice. Then we built them for internet. Then we built them for video streaming in the past 10 years. We've added content delivery network, etc., so that everyone can stream video live on their mobile, on their laptop, on their TV. Now the next wave will be the impact of AI, and AI will be a lot more symmetrical type of traffic because it's going to be a lot more personalized, symmetrical. We also know that a lot will happen at the edge, so how do we optimize the network for inference model? We're convinced that the world will be frugal AI at the right point. A number of use cases will require huge models, huge sets of data, but not all the models. And for the time being, the use cases that we see, if you think of healthcare, if you think of cars, if you think, of course, of any critical infrastructure, our networks are critical infrastructure. We're still at the very early stage of adoption. And of course, it's critical for us to design the models, to train the models, to access the data in a secure environment. So it's really early, but the race is definitely on.
Your industry has told us over the past few years 5G was going to be something that created growth, and that just hasn't happened as of yet. What about AI? How are you thinking about that in terms of a boost to business?
Well, I think 5G, our industry has sold 2G, of course, GSM. By the way, we should remember that 2G and 3G, we didn't have a global standard. You needed to change your mobile phone when you were traveling from Europe to the US. So that's a huge progress to be able to have a global standard. Then we had 4G, which was really big data on mobile, 5G, the promise was really for the B2B industry, for vertical applications. The issue is that the industry launched 5G too early. We are just launching what we call 5G Plus, which is the promise of 5G. We've used it during the Olympics in Paris. The traffic for 5G in Paris has doubled last summer in Paris compared to the year before. Because when you start to see the real use cases, which is about optimizing the using slices of your spectrum to optimize the traffic for the quality of service, that's when you get the promise of 5G. So it's true that the industry for the time being has not got the return on investment of 5G. This is true for manufacturers, for telecom operators, but we are still deploying it and the adoption will definitely come.
You're working with large language model providers, Mistral, you have announced a partnership with them, OpenAI as well. What kind of work are you thinking about with them? What is the partnership like?
Well, with Mistral, we've announced a partnership which is first and foremost about research. What I was saying around the future of networks for AI, we need to work with the champion in France, Mistral, who has a number of use cases which is really advanced in terms of identifying. And this is what's going to be, frugal AI, low latency AI. That's really the use case that we're trying to define. So we're going to combine what we see from our networks with what they see. And that's one aspect of the partnership. And of course, We're also working with them to help them address and serve the enterprise market in France, in Europe, and making sure that we can distribute them to our customers in a secure environment. We've launched a number of AI offers in the past month to all our enterprise customers, especially in France, and we want to add Mistral to those offers because they are French champion. We need secure solution, and we need to help them grow in France.
You talk about a French champion. A lot of what President Macron has been speaking about over the past 2 days is French competitiveness. He announced the more than 100 billion euro AI investment as well. But when we have these conversations around AI, it's always the US and China as the leading players. Europe feels left behind, caught in the middle. There's still criticisms about regulation. There's still criticisms about the ability for European companies to grow into large companies and innovation. What is European competitiveness looking like right now in the realm of AI?
Well, if you read the Mario Draghi's report, I think everyone agrees with the conclusion. We know we've lost competitivity in Europe. And it's not just, AI is just a new wave, but it's because of the cost of energy. It's because indeed of the fragmentation of Europe. Europe is 27 member states with different rules. And it's true that we've been adding regulation in Europe, horizontal regulation, vertical regulation by industries, and on top of national regulation. So that's slowing us down, especially when you think about the potential of the European market. We are a large consumer market, but it's very difficult for one company that stops to innovate in one country to expand and to benefit from the scale of Europe, contrary to the US or China. US and China, it's one language, one country. We don't have that in Europe. Now, maybe AI actually is going to help us reduce some of the barriers. Think about language, for instance. But it's true that we tend to have a lot of regulations, and we need to simplify that if we want to benefit from the scale of Europe. If you think about telecoms, we know that 27 member states, at least 4 operators in every country. That doesn't scale when you have only 3 operators in the US, 3 in China, 3 in India.
Do you expect a wave of consolidation then? Will Europe allow that?
It's not that I expected. I've done it because at Orange we've been consolidating in Romania, in Belgium, in Spain with MásMóvil, MásOrange now. Now we are a leader in Spain. So we've been doing it, but it's true that it takes time. And we still need to get the benefit and the synergies of it. But let's not forget that when we talk about competitivity, if you think about this country, France, we have the most advanced fiber network. So we have very good connectivity in France. We have the cheapest price for connectivity in Europe. So that's also an advantage for all the ecosystem that we tend to overlook, but that's an asset that we have.
Christel, you were in the room this morning when US Vice President J.D. Vance was speaking, when Prime Minister Modi of India was speaking, President Macron as well. What was your takeaway? Because as we talk about competitiveness, as we talk about AI and technology, it's increasingly being pulled more and more into the geopolitical sphere. And J.D. Vance's message was that America is the leader in AI. He sounded like he took a swipe at Europe's regulation, and it sounded like also he was saying pick a side, either the US or China. What was your read of all of that took place in the morning?
Well, I think first, as a technology company, we want to benefit from the best technology wherever it comes from. And I think it's in the interest of nobody if we start to build barriers. And unfortunately, I was mentioning GSM, 2G, 3G, when we had different standards. And that was preventing, actually, competitivity and innovation. So we should fight to keep those global standards and keep open access for technology. Now we live in a world where it's true. Security matters. And I don't think in the end it's a race between US and China. Actually, the president of the European Commission has been very clear. Europe wants to be a continent of AI, and the race is not over yet. So there's going to be room for everyone. I think the message also this morning was very clear from Prime Minister Modi, that in the end it's not about having one way or two way or even 3 ways if we think of Europe. We need every country to embrace AI. We need every government to take the lead. We need every population to feel that they are part of the game. I don't think we're going to solve our challenges as humanity if we continue to increase the gap between the global south and the Western world. And so I think that's a challenge. As Orange, we operate in Africa. We are very committed to bringing the best technology to the best entrepreneurs, to helping also governments feed their population, provide the best education. So I think that's very important as well.